A month into our Cold War, my boyfriend Ryan suddenly posted on his social media, getting engaged soon. The accompanying photo showed a pair of diamond rings with conspicuously large stones. Our mutual friends group chat immediately exploded with everyone frantically tagging me, demanding I send celebration gifts. Just as the excitement peaked, Ryan added a new member to the group, someone named Ryan's Fairy with a cutesy username. The newcomer's arrival was immediately followed by Ryan's announcement to the group, "Stop with the wrong titles. This is your actual future sister-in-law." The previously buzzing chat froze into awkward silence. Staring at my screen, I could only laugh bitterly at the absurdity. Ryan's Fairy began sweetly greeting everyone individually, saving me for last. She first sent a princess emoji blowing a kiss captioned "Hi sis kiss mark," followed by a saccharine message, "I'm younger so I'll need big sister's guidance." The cloying display made me nauseous enough to exit the group and turn off my phone. Ryan's public humiliation tactics weren't new. Every previous Cold War ended with me apologizing. This time, whether genuine or another manipulation, I couldn't care less. I blocked him everywhere, out of sight, out of mind. Today being my birthday made the sting slightly sharper. Changing into a little black dress, I headed to a new downtown speakeasy. Half drunk, two men started harassing me. Struggling to break free, I spotted familiar sharp features across the bar: Ethan Carter, Ryan's cousin and the city hospital's star surgeon. He sat drinking with friends. Black shirt sleeves rolled to reveal forearms that wielded scalpels daily. The dim light accentuated his razor-sharp jawline and aquiline nose. When my harassers grew bolder, I desperately called out, "Dr. Carter." His friend noticed first, nudging him. Ethan set down his whiskey tumbler, rising with controlled grace. "She's with us." His deep voice carried cold authority. The men fled at the sight of his Patek Philippe. "Why are you drinking alone?" His clinical gaze swept my disheveled state before settling on the slipped spaghetti strap. Retrieving his suit jacket, he draped it over my shoulders. "I'll call Ryan." We broke up. I swayed closer. Alcohol loosened limbs brushing against his crisp shirt. "Take me home." "Ethan?" "Ivy. I'm Ryan's cousin." His warning came too late as I stumbled into his arms. Steel fingers gripped my waist, preventing collapse. The scent of antiseptic and bergamot enveloped me as he steadied my wobbling heels. "I know." My laughter ghosted across his collar. His pulse jumped under my palm, betraying the composed facade. For the first time all night, genuine warmth seeped through my numbness. The game had changed. "I can't stand. Dr. Carter. I'm dizzy. I can't stay upright." I tilted my head back in his arms, noticing a suspicious flush creeping up the tips of his ears. Suddenly I remembered last month's breast exam at the hospital when I'd specifically booked Dr. Ethan Carter's specialty appointment. Even then, his ears had turned pink while conducting the examination. "Ivy, I'll call your best friend to pick you up. Sit properly first." He tried disentangling my arms, but I clung tighter to his waist. "Dr. Carter, you told me to follow up on the hyperplasia. I missed the appointment. Could you check it tonight?" As predicted, crimson bloomed across his ears. He cleared his throat, maintaining clinical detachment. "Any recurring pain after finishing the medication?" "It still hurts, especially before my period." I pressed a hand to my left breast. "Doesn't the prescription work?" "Schedule another evaluation tomorrow during office hours." "But it's unbearable now." "Any quick relief methods?" "Alcohol won't help existing pain." Ethan frowned, though his gaze softened imperceptibly when I whispered, "Today's my birthday. Ryan just announced his new girlfriend publicly." His luxury SUV's back seat cradled me with a petite birthday cake bearing a pink candle, his reluctant concession. After blowing out the flame, I impulsively dabbed whipped cream on his cheek. The fastidious man tensed but didn't scold me. Memories resurfaced of him washing hands 8 times between patients during my initial consultation. Those elegant surgeon's hands strong enough to span my waist if clasped together. Heat flooded my cheeks at the indecent thought. The cream smudge disrupted his composed features. Before rationality intervened, I leaned forward and licked it off. Sweetness melted on my tongue as his grip tightened around my wrist. "Ivy." His voice roughened in the dim cabin. our breaths mingling with antiseptic and bourbon notes. Tremors traveled through his restrained fingers. This man had been campus royalty during our university years. Countless study sessions where I'd stolen glances across library tables, watching him solve equations with 2-hour concentration spans. Even now, his beauty left me breathless. In the end, I somehow fell asleep. To my embarrassment, Ethan woke me when he left, handing me a tissue to wipe my drool. I burned with mortification, wishing I could vanish into thin air. After that day, I couldn't bear to face him again. Our next meeting occurred after I'd just started dating Ryan. To my shock, Ethan turned out to be Ryan's revered yet intimidating older cousin. I'll never forget how coldly distant he acted from the moment our eyes met at Ryan's house. Ryan tried comforting me, saying his cousin had always been this aloof-ice cold temperament. Never gets close to women. Half the family wonders if he's gay. Ethan suddenly gripped my wrist, yanking me against his chest. Do you recognize me now? Why, yes. Who am I? Cousin, think harder. My foggy brain struggled. Right. Ryan and I broke up. What cousin relationship remained? Dr. Carter. I corrected meekly. My name. His grip tightened, pulling me flush against him. Our noses nearly touched as he stared down. Ethan Carter. I stammered, avoiding his gaze. Enjoy the cream? The random question startled me. Before I could react, his lips captured mine. Residual dessert sweetness lingered as his tongue swept across my mouth. My hands feebly pushed against his chest, trembling yet powerless. Eyes closed. His teeth grazed my lip. Hot breath scorched my ear as his gravelly voice vibrated through me. No peeking during kisses. Didn't your boyfriend teach you that? Ex-boyfriend, I mumbled. Ethan tilted my chin, dark eyes boring into me before deepening the kiss. Better stay that way. His penthouse dominated the city center, mere blocks from the hospital. The astronomical price tag didn't surprise me. At the elevator bank, he paused while entering the passcode. Certain about this? Ivy? What happened beyond that door needed no explanation between adults. I pressed against his lean back, arms circling his waist. Certain. Better surrender to Ethan than waste myself on scum like Ryan. At least he'd been my college crush, hardly a loss. The fingerprint lock barely clicked before he pinned me against the door, devouring my lips. Patience, I breathed against his neck, alcohol blurring my words. You'll get everything. His kiss stilled. In the darkness, calloused palms cradled my face as his lips brushed my temple. Promise. No one could have guessed Ethan's tailored suits hid such sculpted muscles. After our first time, he casually pulled on sweatpants to fetch me water, the dim light tracing his defined back. I collapsed onto the bed, limbs heavy as lead. Watching Ethan's retreating figure, I traced the defined V of his back tapering into lean hips with flushed cheeks. Ryan had warned his cousin remained celibate, claimed years as a surgeon desensitized him to earthly desires. Little did they know the truth about Dr. Carter. Those surgeons' hands possessed startling strength. Drink this. He brought over a glass, whining lazily. I turned my face away. Can't move. Patient as ever. He tilted the water to my lips. When I leaned for more, his gaze darkened with predatory intent. My breath hitched as he set the glass down. Take it all then. The husky promise sent panic fluttering through me. This wasn't what I'd meant. By morning, Ethan had left for the hospital. His note on the nightstand read, breakfast on the table. Heated if cold. Take the day off, I'll handle work. Rest until lunch. The neatly folded stationery burned my eyes. After agonizing minutes, I shredded it into the trash. A scalding shower later, I fled the apartment without looking back. Childhood infatuation didn't blind me to reality. A man of Ethan's pedigree could have anyone. I was just another novelty. Better to vanish than face awkward explanations. My dingy studio's silence shattered when Ryan called. Against better judgment, I answered. Where are you? Mom expects us for dinner. His casual tone grated, as if yesterday's humiliation never happened. Ryan. I kept my voice steady. We broke up. Come on, Ivy. You know I mess around sometimes. Irritation crept into his voice. Be downstairs in 10. Did you not hear me? We're done. His laugh chilled me. Over some dumb office joke? Lily's just a coworker. Don't be petty. Keep your fairy princess then. I moved to hang up. Wait. The venom in his tone froze me. Think you can walk away that easy? Johnson? My throat closed. He'd never used my family name since the accident that left me orphaned. My mother spent 2 months in the ICU. It was during this darkest period that Ryan suddenly appeared. He covered the astronomical medical bills and sky-high compensation fees. Countless hours and endless financial resources poured into my crisis. Ultimately, he even arranged my parents' funerals. As a freshly graduated orphan with no family left, I had no means to repay him except accepting his courtship. Now he accuses me of biting the hand that feeds me, staring at debt figures I could never repay in 3 lifetimes. I choke on bitter laughter. When you owe someone, you lose your footing. Even when Ryan's been entangled with countless women. Even after he slept with 2 colleagues who now openly mock me. Yet I remain the one shackled by obligation. Forever forfeiting the right to walk away. Nonsense. You're my girlfriend. Ryan snaps when I recoil from his touch. Those other women mean nothing. Stop being dramatic and get dressed. My parents are waiting. This half-assed apology passes for compromise in his mind. Refusing would brand me ungrateful. His playboy reputation precedes him, an endless parade of socialites and gold diggers. Though I lack pedigree, my academic credentials and respectable career as Johnson family's last surviving member make me the least objectionable choice for Lewis family. Hence their grudging tolerance of our relationship. Tonight marks the first invitation to Lewis Mansion. Dressing mechanically. My phone vibrates with a contact request. Ivy. It's Ethan. The name Ethan pierces like shrapnel. I slump against the wall. Fist clenched over my pounding heart. Last night's reckless mistake with him can never repeat. With trembling fingers, I block the request. In adult etiquette, silence speaks volumes. A man of Ethan's stature won't beg. Ryan's smug smirk greets me downstairs. Damn it. He swerves when I evade his groping hands. Fine. I'll wait until our engagement to fuck you proper. At the Lewis estate, his entire family awaits. Olivia remains ghost pale since her botched kidney transplant last year. Rarely seen in public. Mrs. Lewis' uncharacteristic warmth chills me. Sit, dear. How was last month's physical? Just some benign breast lumps. I answer warily. Splendid. Her eyes glitter strangely. You and Ryan should announce your engagement next month. Perfect timing. Ryan agrees. Poor orphan girl needs family. Mrs. Lewis pats my hand with reptilian concern. Every fiber screams danger. Yet trapped by debts and dead parents' ashes. I smile through the suffocating charade. The Lewis family was unusually warm today. When we returned in the evening, Mrs. Lewis even gifted me a new LV handbag. Don't worry about the engagement preparations. Our family will handle everything with grandeur. Ivy. Just relax and wait. As we drove away, I watched the beaming elders of the Lewis family through the car window. Their smiles wide enough to eclipse their eyes. Olivia stood frail at the periphery. Her complexion as pale as parchment. An inexplicable chill crept up my spine. Ryan drove off immediately after dropping me at my apartment complex. When I exited the car, I overheard him taking a call, probably from that fairy girl again. I pretended not to notice, dragging my exhausted body toward my building. Beneath the shadowed tree near the entrance, Dr. Carter stood with a cigarette between his fingers. I froze, instinctively wanting to hide. He stubbed out the cigarette and called my name firmly. Dr. Carter. I stood rooted like a chastened child. Why didn't you wait for me? His voice held wintry edges. Acid sorrow burned my throat as tears threatened. I forced casual laughter. I was drunk last night. Dr. Carter. Let's pretend nothing happened. Okay? His gaze turned glacial enough to frost glass. Ivy Johnson. Are you always this careless with yourself? Battling tears. I laughed again. Consider it a freebie. Doctor. I practically threw myself at you. His brow furrowed as he lit another cigarette with restless fingers. The harsh planes of his face softened momentarily when our eyes met. Memories surfaced of last night's intimate moments, his flustered embrace when I'd wept quietly. The remorseful tenderness in his voice as he comforted me. My sweet girl. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was your first. I averted my eyes, swallowing the bitter lump in my throat. If there's nothing else, I should go up. Didn't you break up with Ryan? That's personal. Ivy. Whatever trouble you're in, please leave. My finger brushed his cigarette, scattering ash that vanished like our fleeting affair. Chained to Ryan's ship with no escape. Why drag Ethan into my wreckage? Remember your checkup tomorrow. His low voice followed me. Don't neglect your health. I hurried into the building without responding, tears falling freely now. Though Ryan's affair with Ferry burned bright, I channeled all energy into work. By month's end, our team ranked top in performance reviews. That evening at the celebration party, I got pressured into drinking more than I should. The exhaustion from consecutive busy days combined with alcohol triggered sharp pain in my left chest again. After taking painkillers and enduring until morning, I deliberately avoided Ethan and booked an appointment with another specialist at the hospital. But when my number was called and I pushed open the exam room door, there he sat wearing a crisp white coat. I froze, instinctively turning to leave. Ivy. Ethan's voice stopped me. Dr. Di had an emergency. I'm covering his shift. I'll reschedule. My face looked terrible, hungover, sleep deprived, and pale with lingering pain. Ivy. Ethan stood, removing his surgical mask. First and foremost, I'm your physician. Come here. Be good. His clinical examination was thoroughly professional. His gaze focused without any hidden undertones, making me feel ashamed of my own turbulent emotions. Does this hurt? His fingers applied careful pressure. I winced, a soft whimper escaping. Dr. Carter, it hurts. His ears flushed pink, clearing his throat. He quickly withdrew his hand. I hurriedly adjusted my clothing. You'll need medication and physical therapy. Nothing serious. But no more late nights or heavy drinking. He began writing prescriptions with a fountain pen. Wait here. I'll have a nurse get your medications. I can manage. We'll start your PT now. He replaced his mask. The therapist on duty is male. I'll handle your session. Really? It's fine. It's not. Ethan unbuttoned his white coat, stepping closer. Ivy. I don't want others seeing you like this. My breath caught. After a prolonged silence, he gestured. Let's go. In the therapy room, I kept my eyes closed while removing my top. His touch remained strictly clinical. Relax. This will be quick. His gentle murmur eased my tension. The combination of therapeutic equipment and skilled manipulation soon lessened the pain. The warm compress eventually lulled me to sleep. Unbeknownst to me, Ethan stood watching for a long time before brushing a feather-light kiss against my temple. While collecting my prescriptions, several nurses eyed me curiously. The medication nurse finally blurted, "Are you Dr. Carter's girlfriend?" I shook my head. But he never treats female patients like this. Her eyes shone with envy. Basic physical therapy? Way beneath his pay grade. Yet she clutched her clipboard excitedly. We're all dying of jealousy. I glanced back down the hallway, empty. No trace of him. The heavy ache returned. Forcing a smile, I stepped into the elevator alone. He told me to come back 3 more times, but deep down I knew I wouldn't. The next night, after dragging myself back to my rented apartment from overtime work, Ryan Lewis called demanding I come over. I initially refused, but his drunken rage scared me into compliance. Sitting on my bed in numb silence, I eventually grabbed my phone and purse. Midway through the journey, Ryan's text notification lit up my screen. Bring 2 boxes of condoms. Ferry. Make sure they're extra large. I blankly closed the app, surprised to find myself completely numb. Arriving at the hotel, I carried my purchases upstairs. Lily Evans opened the door, her porcelain features glowing under the chandelier. As I turned to leave after handing her the items, Ryan's slurred roar stopped me. Ivy Johnson. Get your ass back here right now. Don't be mad. Ryan. Ferry must feel awkward with me here. Lily's saccharine voice made my skin crawl. Awkward? Cut the act. Ryan sneered. yanking me inside. Why wait till engagement? I'll take you right now. His whiskey-laced breath hit my face as he shoved me onto the sofa, tearing at my robe. Watching his contorted features, I suddenly pictured him with countless women over the past year, Lily probably minutes ago. My stomach churned as his clammy hands groped my thighs. Just before contact, I grabbed the crystal ashtray and smashed it against the coffee table. Shards exploded. Blood dripped from my mangled hand onto the Persian rug. Lily screamed while Ryan staggered back, equal parts fury and fear in his bloodshot eyes. Your choice, Ryan, I said calmly, clutching a jagged shard. Either wait for our engagement, or send one of us to the ER and the other to jail tonight. I didn't know why I kept delaying the inevitable. Maybe part of me still hoped for escape. But if fate demanded this, I'd consider it a dog bite and move on. To my surprise, Ryan retreated. I stumbled past Lily's frozen form, fleeing through the fire exit, collapsing on the sidewalk. I vomited bile mixed with blood. My right hand resembled raw hamburger meat, pain finally breaking through the adrenaline. The cab dropped me at City General Hospital, Ethan Carter's workplace. Praying he wasn't on duty, I staggered into ER. A nurse began cleaning the glass shards embedded in my palm. I trembled violently but refused to cry. My tears had dried up years ago when the police came knocking about my parents' car crash. Let it out, rumbled a familiar baritone behind me. Suddenly I was enveloped in warmth smelling of antiseptic and cedar wood. His palm gently covered my eyes. Almost done. The dam broke. Silent tears soaked through Ethan's surgical glove as he worked. When he finally removed his hand, my bandaged fingers rested against his stubbled cheek, our first contact since that night he'd carried me from the wreckage. He took me back to his place. On the way, I mentioned wanting to leave, but Ethan firmly refused. Since my hands were injured, he helped me bathe. Even though we'd been intimate before, I still felt uneasy. I can manage on my own slowly. Your wounds will get infected if they get wet. Be good. He wrapped me in a large towel and carried me to the bedroom. I'll be next door. Call if you need anything. He touched my forehead and started to leave. Ethan, I gently tugged his sleeve. Could you stay with me? I don't want to be alone. He studied me for a long moment before agreeing. All right. I'll shower first. When he returned freshly showered, he smelled wonderful. I burrowed into his arms, clinging to him with all limbs. He tried to protect my injured hands while restraining himself. Ivy, don't tempt me. Ignoring him, I nuzzled against his chest. Ethan, do you remember our college days? Some fragments. Remember that time in the library? The girl across from you stared for 2 hours then fell asleep. So embarrassing. Right? Not particularly. Have you ever loved someone? Yes. I froze, heart clenching painfully. She must have been beautiful. Exceptional. Just a pretty ordinary girl. He stroked my hair, his entire demeanor softening heartbreakingly at the memory. Ethan, let's not talk about her tonight. All right. What do you want to discuss? Have you been with other women? No. He tilted my chin up, kissing me. Ivy, I don't sleep around. Then why with me? His lips silenced the rest. The question hung unanswered. I noticed he particularly loved kissing my eyelids. Perhaps my eyes resembled hers, the woman he'd loved. Dazed by kisses and exhaustion, I vaguely sensed Ethan whispering something before sleep claimed me. He sighed at my sleeping form before taking another cold shower. My injuries healed within 3 days. During our final dinner, I announced my departure. Ethan set down his utensils. Ivy, leave Ryan for good. I shook my head. Ethan, there are things I can't explain. All I can say is it's impossible unless Ryan agrees. What do you owe him? I wanted to say, the mountain of debt from Mom's 2-month ICU stay. The astronomical accident settlement. After her brain death, they harvested her healthy kidneys per the donor registries I never knew my parents had signed. I'd collapsed in grief while Ryan handled every hospital detail. Stop asking. The truth is, if Ryan refuses to break up with me, I won't leave him either. I lowered my gaze and slowly stood up. Thank you for taking care of me these past few days. Dr. Carter, I bit my lip hard, finally looking at him with red-rimmed eyes. Let's not see each other again. After speaking, I turned and left the restaurant. I changed clothes, put on my shoes, and walked out. Ethan didn't follow. This was the third time I'd rejected him. I knew perfectly well he would absolutely never contact me again. The Lewis family suddenly moved up the engagement date. The reason was Olivia's deteriorating health. They wanted to rush the ceremony while she could still leave the house. Mrs. Lewis pretended to discuss it with me. But I knew perfectly well I had no right to refuse. The enormous debt of gratitude I owed the Lewis family and Ryan couldn't be repaid. I had to offer myself as compensation. They chose a villa in the western suburbs for the engagement ceremony. Ryan and I had to arrive 3 days early. Once the date was set, the Lewis family hosted a grand banquet, inviting all relatives and friends. Ethan and his parents naturally attended as the Lewis's most honored guests. To my surprise, there was a strikingly beautiful young woman with them. She linked her arm through his. Their closeness unmistakable. Ethan's mother, Mrs. Eleanor Carter, appeared elegant and kind-hearted. When Mrs. Lewis introduced me, she took my hand, her tone warm and affectionate. But Ethan remained icy. When Mrs. Carter prompted him to greet me, he merely gave a curt nod before looking away. Ethan, the girl beside him, gently tugged his sleeve. She smiled at me warmly. Don't mind him. That's just how Ethan is. I returned a polite smile. It's fine. I followed Mrs. Lewis to greet guests. Ryan, who'd always been somewhat intimidated by Ethan, had long since disappeared. Seizing a rare moment of quiet, I slipped away to the restroom. These social functions never suited me. My family was ordinary, both parents were average office workers. Our circle consisted of regular people. Families like the Lewises were beyond my reach. Let alone someone like Ethan. The obsequious act Mrs. Lewis put on for the Carters was downright embarrassing. Though it didn't directly involve me. Hearing their fawning praises made my cheeks burn. I studied my reflection draped in luxurious gowns, adorned with expensive jewelry. Yet this wasn't me. Just a marionette. I missed my parents. My old home. But how can anyone return to the past? As twin tears traced down my cheeks, his figure appeared in the mirror. My vision blurred. His silhouette indistinct. Must be a hallucination. He had his companion, why would he seek me out? Why are you crying here alone? His voice snapped me out of my daze. When I tried to turn around, his hand settled heavily on my shoulder. I vowed never to get involved with you again. Dr. Carter said, stepping closer. Even in heels. I barely reached his chin as he pulled me into an embrace that gradually tightened. His stubble grazing my collarbone. That pitiful look you gave me earlier undid me. I didn't, your eyes turned red the moment I walked in. Allergies. I lied. Squirming against his hold. Dr. Carter. Someone might see, we've shared a bed. A bit late for modesty. Don't you think? Ethan, my voice cracked. Tear-clumped lashes sticking to flushed cheeks. Something in my trembling defiance softened him. He released me abruptly, leaning against the restroom counter while I fumbled with compact powder. His thumb kept flicking the engraved Zippo open, shut, open. The metallic clicks echoing between us. Leaving soon? I asked, avoiding his reflection in the mirror. Are you? I have to. Ivy Johnson. He straightened, palm upturned between us. Walk out that door with me. Right now. My breath caught. Ethan? This offer won't repeat itself. His gaze burned through me, reducing the girl who'd once sketched his profile during library study sessions to insignificant smudges. The same girl who'd carved desperate promises into park benches with car keys, whose wrists still bore silvery trails of surrender. Memories flooded me, the sterile smell when they harvested mom's kidneys. Ryan Lewis whiskey, tainted kisses that left me scrubbing my mouth raw afterward. The hollow-eyed women giggling in his penthouse elevator. Each humiliation had chipped away at me until only this hollowed-out shell remained. Ethan Carter represented escape. But dragging this brilliant surgeon into my cesspool of debt and disgrace? Letting society paint him as another rich fool throwing money at a gold digger? I'd rather drown than tarnish the last decent man who'd ever shown me kindness. The woman in question was actually my distant cousin. So I had to push him away. Let me sink into the swamp and mire alone. Let me traverse every circle of hell by myself. If I'm fortunate enough to emerge unscathed from this darkness, to finally gain true freedom, perhaps then I'll find the courage to confess my feelings. I shook my head at him. The engagement is in 3 days. Ethan. Let's not joke about such things. His eyes darkened. Before he could respond, I continued. I thought I'd made myself clear. This was just adult entertainment. Or perhaps consider it my retaliation after discovering Ryan's infidelity. Retaliation? Ethan repeated slowly, tilting his head with bitter amusement. So that night was merely your revenge? Ethan, I forced a careless smile. Truthfully, that night was quite satisfying. If you're willing, I wouldn't mind continuing this arrangement. He turned away before I finished, his chiseled features hardening like winter granite. I slumped against the bathroom vanity, watching his retreating figure. My trembling fingers felt glacial as I pressed them to my burning cheeks. Ethan Carter. I whispered his name like I'd done countless times in my girlhood daydreams. The memory surfaced suddenly, that golden afternoon in the university library. Dozens of students milling about. Yet the seat opposite him remained mysteriously vacant. Several girls hovered nearby, too intimidated to approach. Ethan's reputation for icy rebuffs preceded him. He'd famously rejected 3 confessions in a single week without sparing anyone's dignity. I was gathering my books to flee upstairs when my roommate shoved me toward that forbidden chair. Panicking, I scrambled to leave, only to freeze when his dark lashes lifted. Without a word, he returned to his medical textbook. Sunlight gilded the pages as his surgeon's fingers turned them with precise movements. My traitorous heart hammered as I managed to stammer. Senior, this seat isn't taken? He wordlessly shifted a reference book closer to himself. I never finished a single page that day. His proximity intoxicated me, the shadow of his lashes on cheekbones. The faint cedar scent mixing with old paper. Worse, I somehow dozed off against my arm. He woke me with a tap, offering a tissue. Through sleep-blurred eyes, I thought I glimpsed amusement in his gaze as he indicated my drool-stained textbook. You might want to clean up, came that velvet voice, before he disappeared into the stacks. 4 weeks afterward, I burned with mortification whenever recalling how I'd practically salivated over him like some starstruck fool. After that incident, I became so withdrawn that I completely avoided appearing before him. Later, he graduated. When his class took graduation photos, my roommate and I passed by the field. Many girls wanted commemorative pictures with him, but he refused them all. Keeping my head down, I tugged at my roommate's sleeve and hurried away. Thus, I missed hearing that soft question, Ivy. Would you like to take a photo with me? 3 years passed before we met again. I was now Ryan's girlfriend. He turned out to be Ryan's cousin, technically a distant relative. But the Lewis family actively maintained ties with the prestigious Carters. Throughout the dinner, Ethan only glanced at me once. Not a single word passed between us, the atmosphere growing glacial by the meal's end. Ryan tried comforting me. That's just how Ethan is. Comes from elite circles. Top-tier surgeon with model looks, naturally arrogant. But I knew better. His clinical demeanor masked true compassion. I'd witnessed his gentle patience with patients. Experienced it myself during consultations. The brilliant young surgical prodigy treated everyone with equal dignity. The night before our engagement ceremony, the Lewis family hosted dinner. Their illuminated mansion resembled a gaping beast ready to devour me whole, crushing bones to dust for eternal damnation. Olivia joined us, appearing healthier than usual with subtle makeup enhancing her features. She shyly ladled soup for me, murmuring, "Drink more nourishing broth, sis." Her timid smile triggered sudden realization. Lily's ethereal beauty bore unsettling resemblance to Olivia. Worse yet, every woman Ryan had dated shared traces of his cousin's delicate features. "You're still too slender, Ivy." Mrs. Lewis clucked while scrutinizing me. "We must fatten you up before the ceremony." Olivia retired early due to fatigue. Post-dinner, Mrs. Lewis served me tea herself. Watching the steam curl upward, I smiled faintly. When the brew cooled, I drained the cup in one motion. Both Lewis parents exhaled in visible relief. Ryan glanced up from his phone as I drank, hesitation flickering before he resumed gaming. My heart chilled as if frosted by winter's first snowfall. Walk with me, Ryan, I requested. Surprised but compliant, he followed me outside. Starlight bathed the lawn, promising clear skies for tomorrow's festivities. Our guests would arrive within days for the engagement celebration at the lakeside estate. But deep down, I knew there would never be an engagement ceremony. I looked straight at Ryan Lewis and cut to the chase. Ryan, there's no need for this elaborate charade. What are you talking about? Just prepare an organ donation consent form for me to sign. Ivy. His expression shifted immediately. You know, Olivia's transplanted kidney is experiencing severe rejection. Her condition keeps deteriorating, she desperately needs a new one. My gaze remained steady. When you suddenly took me for full body examinations last month, I started suspecting. Ivy, Ryan furrowed his brows with feigned sympathy. Since you've figured it out, I'll be honest. Olivia does need a kidney transplant. The doctors confirmed yours is compatible after those tests. My vision was already blurring. I knew they'd drugged the tea. Yet I drank it willingly. If surrendering a healthy kidney could settle my debts to Ryan, I'd accept it. I'd leave this world broken but untainted. But nothing prepared me for his next words. Had we known your kidney was the perfect match earlier, we wouldn't have gone through the trouble of taking your mother's. What did you say? I staggered forward, clutching at his collar. He shoved me away brutally. Since you'll reunite with your parents soon, I might as well tell you that car accident wasn't accidental. We needed your mother's kidney. Through certain channels, we confirmed her compatibility with Olivia. Your parents had signed posthumous organ donor agreements. But Olivia couldn't wait that long. Forgive me, Ivy. She's my only sister, more precious than my own life. I'd burn the world for her. Collapsed on the cold floor, paralyzed by the drugs. I heard his final whisper. Don't worry though. My cousin, Dr. Carter, will perform the nephrectomy. He's an excellent surgeon. Did you know he's the one who harvested your mother's kidney too? When I regained hazy consciousness, I found myself strapped to an operating table. Someone was swabbing my abdomen with icy alcohol. Through blurred vision, I saw masked figures in surgical gowns. The lead surgeon approached, gloves snapping into place. His eyes, cold as frozen lakes, glanced at me before dismissing my existence. I lay helpless as surgical steel pierced my flesh. Then chaos erupted. Police stormed in. But I only saw him, Ethan Carter, in his immaculate white shirt. I wanted to apologize when my blood stained his pristine clothes. But darkness swallowed me whole. I couldn't speak. Every inch of my skin and every nerve felt alien. I could only blink at him, mouthing soundlessly, Ethan Carter. I'm sorry. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot, crimson like stained glass. Carrying me swiftly outside, I felt his jaw clench, facial muscles twitching. Ivy, stay with me. I won't let anything happen to you. His trembling voice carried steel beneath as he glanced down. I wanted to explain they hadn't taken my kidney yet, but the warmth of being cared for overwhelmed me. I pressed my cheek against his chest. Even when Ryan slandered Ethan, claiming he'd surgically removed my mother's kidney, I never believed a word. Years ago, I'd watched Ethan's medical oath ceremony online, tears glistening as he vowed to heal. I knew then he'd be the world's most dedicated physician. He'd never collude with filth like Ryan. Ethan was purity incarnate. I needed to stay worthy of that purity. Naively, I'd thought surrendering a kidney would buy freedom. I never imagined the Lewis family had trafficked human organs for years. Their meteoric wealth stemmed from Ryan's aunt donating a kidnado, a dying tycoon, for career advancement. The Lewis clan rode that crimson wave, harvesting fresh organs for wealthy corpses clinging to life. Perhaps karma struck Olivia with congenital heart defects. But it also killed my innocent parents. This time, they planned to anesthetize me for full organ harvest. Stage a fiery car crash en route to their mansion, erasing all evidence. A tragic heiress-to-be perishing before her wedding, what poignant tabloid fodder. The Lewis family would mourn extravagantly, polishing Ryan's devoted lover image before hunting new prey. But their reign ended with me. Ryan, his parents, and their organ-trafficking kin now await trial for multiple murders. Olivia died mid-surgery from panicked cardiac arrest. My mother's kidney? Stolen by a surgeon the Lewis family bought years ago, a wolf in healer's robes now facing lethal retribution. Ethan likely noticed discrepancies 2 years prior. Olivia's repeated near-death crises always coincided with miraculous organ matches, impossible odds he couldn't ignore. His suspicion grew until my abduction exposed the truth. On the way to the Lewis family's house that night, I texted Ethan. But I deleted every word before sending it, leaving a blank message. Someone as sharp as him naturally sensed something was wrong. I still don't know where I found the courage to gamble like that. Ethan was furious afterward. Sitting rigidly by my hospital bed, the surgeon lectured me with clinical precision. Ivy. Those organ traffickers have no conscience. Do you realize they weren't just after a kidney? My post-op investigation showed they'd prepped to harvest all your viable organs. His voice tightened. If you ever endanger yourself like this again, the unspoken threat hung heavier than any shouted words. I shivered, realizing how close I'd come to disaster. Yet now, safe in the fortress of my beloved's protection, I dared tease him. Dr. Carter, I reached for his hand. He jerked away, lips pressed white. Undeterred, I captured his fingers again. When he tried retreating, I winced dramatically. My incision hurts. Stay still. Alarm shattered his anger as he helped me lie back, gently lifting my shirt to inspect the healing scar. His tender focus made warmth bloom in my chest. Ethan, I traced his jaw. Hold me? After a weighted pause, his arms encircled me. You're impossible, he muttered into my hair. Back when I had that breast exam, I whispered against his ear, feeling his pulse jump. Why did you blush? His earlobe crimsoned anew. I nipped it playfully. Seen 1,000 patients. Doctor. Do all women make you flush? IV. His breathing roughened. A lady should maintain some decorum. You prefer me demure? Ethan's gaze softened. Be however you like, so long as it's only with me. This became his lifelong refrain, indulging my every whim. Overcompensating for the family I'd lost. When we made things official, Ethan presented me to the Carter clan with ceremonial gravity. To his cousins, he declared, this is your sister-in-law. Address her properly. The girl who'd accompanied him last time grinned. I knew it. Ethan couldn't take his eyes off you that whole dinner. Olivia linked arms with me. But who can blame him? You're absolutely radiant. I glanced at my husband-to-be. The universe works in balance, every loss eventually repaid. Ethan caught my look. What? Nothing. I smiled, knowing no cosmic debt could explain this fortune. Some miracles simply choose their moment. He reached out to touch the top of my head. His eyes filled with affectionate exasperation. How can someone be this beautiful? I clung to his arm, sighing softly. For that moment, it felt like we'd slipped back into my carefree teenage years. Ethan glanced at me with feigned restraint. This beautiful man will belong to you forever now. Happy? Ecstatic? I whispered, standing on tiptoes to steal a kiss on his jaw when no one was looking. His fingers tightened around mine, warmth radiating until they burned like embers. Patience, he murmured against my ear. The sun hasn't set yet. But I dragged him through the banquet hall anyway, our laughter echoing down deserted corridors until we reached the moonlit alcove. Ivy, his grip steadied me as I slowed. Silver light traced the sharp angles of his face as I cradled his cheeks. Dr. Carter, my hyperplasia seems to be acting up again tonight. Perhaps you should examine me? My fingertips trailed down his chest, guiding his palm to press over my racing heartbeat. Seems my prescription failed. His breath warmed my lips as shadows pooled around us. Shall we try alternative treatment? I've heard spousal massage can alleviate symptoms. The world tilted as his mouth found mine, our interlocked fingers anchoring me against the tidal wave of longing. Ivy, he breathed between kisses that left me dizzy. Years ago, his thumb brushed my swollen lips. There was this girl who fell asleep drooling on her library books. I stiffened, but his laughter vibrated against my temple. I watched her for hours before leaving my number in that anatomy text. She never saw it. Ethan. Heat flooded my cheeks at the memory. Meant to be mine. His arms banded around me, words dissolving into the hollow of my throat. You'll always be mine. Ivy. My miracle second chance.